Hi, my name is Nick Arandes with another episode of Healing Together. And today I'm going to talk about, I would say, how do you know you love something, or how do you know you love? How do you know you love someone, or whatever? The suggestion, what I'm going to share may be very shocking. I can tell you right now, so tie up your seatbelts. The only way that I know that I love something or someone is that if I lose it, or if it goes out of my life, if it dies, it doesn't matter. I have a sense of inner peace and joy because, in a sense, what makes me happy is what makes that which I love happy. The problem is that, as I shared in a previous video entitled What Love Is Not, we have these ideas about what love is, Oh, love is a feeling, a desire. When I'm in love with this person because it makes me feel in a certain way. In other words, putting the cause outside and the effect inside, as if the world is the cause of what I'm feeling. Therefore, I see that person, I think that that person is making me feel in a particular way, and which is pleasure or butterflies or whatever. I said, oh, that's love, I'm in love. But if that person makes me feel that way, what happens if that person threatens to leave me? Then I no longer feel that way, right? So then, why could that feeling not be love? Because love and suffering, or love and fear, cannot coexist. It's impossible. As a matter of fact, one of the questions that I ask, or I used to ask in many of the talks that I was giving, is that, can love experience fear? And you'll be surprised how almost everybody says, of course, yeah, because they have an idea, love with drama, love with fear. They think that's part of love, right? And I don't know, maybe you may think that love can experience fear. So then what I would do is I would ask another question. And the question is, can light experience darkness? Now again, can light experience darkness? Sometimes people may say, yeah. I said, okay, if you think it is, I want you to experience darkness right now. Like right now, where you're at. I want you to experience darkness, but don't turn off the light. Because if you turn off the light, then the question cancels itself, doesn't make any sense. So you are in the light, meaning that you are in a place that is lit up. Try to experience darkness. Come on, look at it. You can find it. Because light is, and that's all there is to it. So, when I ask the question, can light experience darkness, and people come to the realization, okay, well, it must be true because it's right. I mean, it's just light, and darkness cannot be experienced. Then I ask them why that is. It's funny, I just get a kick out of it because people come up with all these philosophical answers. Oh, it's because it's the absence of this or whatever, or because light means, or darkness means that when light is not, and all that kind of stuff. I have to really laugh when it's so simple. The only reason why light cannot experience darkness is because it's light. End of the question. See? So if the only reason why light cannot experience darkness is because it's light, I'm going to go back to the original question. Can love experience fear? The answer is not. Why? Because all that there is love. So love cannot experience fear because it's love. The problem again is, if you have a chance to look at that video that I watched, the video that I called What Love Is Not, the problem is when I begin to give a meaning, my personal meaning of what love is, that's when it appears that there's fear. Because if I feel love means that you have to feel in a particular way, or I desire you, and if I don't have you, I may suffer. Of course, it appears that love is suffering, because of course, I mean, when that person is not with me, I feel sad. Well, then love is not there. Was never there. Who you are is love. And if I am love, when we talk that God is love, to use that language, God doesn't put any conditions. Yeah, we have some 10 commandments that we invented to try to make God looks more like a person, but in reality, in love, which is all that there is, there's no conditions, there's no rules. All that there is all that there is. So if I feel that if I have someone in my life or something in my life, and I may feel fearful of losing that, and make the mistake of thinking that I am feeling this way because I love that, I got to be very careful, because again, I don't love. As a matter of fact, I never loved it. What I did is I just attached myself to it, made something special out of it. In other words, I made a God out of it, and now that became my God, and of course that's why I experience fear. So the way to know if you really love something or someone is that if that leaves you or is out of your life, you are perfectly fine, like nothing mattered, like nothing would have happened. That's how you know that I'm in love. Because again, you don't place conditions on love, on anything. Love simply is. And this is not something that we do, that we try to get to that space. That's what I was sharing in another video, that we don't have to do the work. The work is done through us. I just have to open myself to the work. That's the difference. And the way I open myself to the word is to the work is through the process of complete surrender. And again, the complete surrender, the real surrender, the way I mean, it doesn't come as a result of me trying to feel better. It comes as a result of me wanting to know who I am, wanting truth. And that's why, once again, it appears that if I'm doing all this spiritual work to try to feel better, and it makes sense, of course, the pain of feeling separate, the pain of feeling like I'm something separate from the whole is very painful. But the more I keep yearning for the remembering of who I am, the more I want to the more I desire truth, meaning inner peace. The more I desire that, well, then all this work that is being done is an opportunity for me to look at all the obstacles. Where do I still have attachments? I'm afraid of losing my children. I'm afraid of losing my family. I'm afraid of losing my car. I'm afraid of losing my body. I'm afraid of losing whatever. That's fine, because now we're becoming conscious. And I'm observing how I am making gods out of every single objective experience. That's basically it. And in that sense, the journey, it becomes more, let's say, more enjoyable, because now you know that all I'm doing is freeing myself. Oh, look, I love my children. I am afraid of losing them. That's a chain. I'm getting myself to be ready to be free of them. I'm afraid of losing my relation, my partner, whatever. So that's another chain, another, whatever you call it. I'm afraid of losing my car. I'm afraid of losing my job. I'm afraid of losing my health, because in the end, I'm afraid of dying. In other words, I'm afraid of losing myself. But in order for me to get to know who I really am, I have to let go of the self that I thought I've always been. And this is not who I am. So that's why it's very little by little. It's very loving. It's a very loving and kind experience. You don't have to try to pretend, I have to let go of all of this. No, you don't have to do any of that. That's the beauty of it all. You just have to open yourself to it, because life knows exactly what you can handle, and it'll give you an opportunity to little by little release it. In other words, this is how loving and kind it is. Every time I surrender, I experience some sense of peace, right? I mean, we cannot deny that. That's why people go to church. When you go to a church, you notice that the place, I'm not talking about the talk or anything, I'm talking about going to a church, any church. You know that there's a sense of peace, right? A calmness. So people go to a church because they want to let go, surrender. And even in that moment, there's a place of, it's a sense of peace. Well, church in reality is any moment like this one. If I'm willing to surrender completely, I'm experiencing a sense of peace, right? We can agree on that, what I hope, right? So, as I continue to surrender, to that experience, there's a part of the mind that begins to somehow come to the realization that, wow, this is something I'm beginning to value more. The more that shift is taking place in the mind, something within is going to make click, and you go, of course, if I hold on to this and I suffer, but if I surrender and I feel peaceful, then I want to surrender more. And that surrendering is sort of a way of the mind telling itself, you see how great you feel when you let go? And then you're not the one who have to let go of anything, because, you don't have to sacrifice anything. That's the word I want. You don't have to feel like you're sacrificing anything. The shift that is taking place in yourself is what lets you to let it go. See, when you let go of something, there's no suffering. Only when I feel like I have to let go of because it's the right thing or the wrong thing or whatever the case may be, but there's still a sense of sacrifice underneath. Oh my, I don't want to let go of this, but I know it's good for me. No, that's not the way love operates. That's the beauty of it all. Love operates very gently and very, very kindly. What love says is don't put any beliefs or any ideas or any opinions or concepts you have about anything. Simply surrender completely. That's meaning surrendering to love. So you can experience the hug, the love that is surrounding you in that moment. And then common sense is going to click in and it's going to go, wow, of course, I'd rather now let go. So the practice, again, is very, very simple. It's really an observation how I'm still attached to the things, to my objective experience, to my identity as a person, to the world as I see it, to be consciously aware of that. That's the beauty of the work. So, of the process. To be conscious how easily I get distracted so that I can surrender. And then the life is a constant process of surrendering. That's all there is to it. And again, you'll be surprised. You will say, I could never let go of my children. The more you keep surrendering, you'll realize how happy I am to know that they can be free because their freedom is my freedom. I could never let go of my relationship. If she leaves or something, I'll be destroyed. You'll be surprised. The more you keep surrendering to this, you realize that all you were doing is trying to hang on to that. And hanging on takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of, it's a lot of suffering. But if I can let her go, or let him go, depends who the person, the partner is, whatever. It's a sense of freedom because eventually all we're letting go is of the world so that finally we can let go of this and we can rest in peace. And you know what the funny thing about it? We think we have to die to rest in peace, but we can rest in peace right now. As a matter of fact, every single day I write RIP in my bed because I know that it doesn't mean that I'm going to die. Who I am cannot die. The belief that I am a separate entity is what appears as if a death in there. And then I'm afraid of letting this go because I'm thinking I'm losing something. But in reality, what I'm gaining is the peace that is all-encompassing. So therefore, I'm not afraid of saying RIP or put it in my bed or whatever because I love that. I love to rest in peace all the time. Right now. When I go running, for example, I rest in peace. When I do whatever I do, I rest in peace. When I observe the world, I rest in peace. That's the beauty of it. And you can still do the things that you do because that's what's happening. The only thing is not what you do, is how you're from what place you're doing them. So you can be a basketball lover and be a great basketball player, and you can rest in peace while you're playing. You see? Because again, the mind is more aware, is more conscious, doesn't take the game seriously. You know a movie that I suggest you watch, and this time really pay attention to it because it has such a beautiful message in it. It's called Forrest Gump. Remember, Forrest Gump appears to be the life of a man that might be a little slower than anybody else, but in reality, it was the life about a man who was always happy and in peace. This is a man who didn't attach a story to anything. Therefore, if the girl of his dreams or the girl that he always so loved, that he felt all the things, left him, he didn't feel I'm a bad man, I'm a bad person, I'm less than the other guy, or I'm not worthy. He didn't think any of that. He just simply observed the experience as something that was taking place. That's why he could truly love her. You see? He could never have loved her if he wanted it her. You see? But meaning that he wanted to become her owner or something. He just loved her. He accepted just as she is. She didn't understand. And that lack of understanding was actually his gate to freedom. We have made the mistake of thinking that we understand. And that thinking that we understand is our prison. You see? So in a sense, that movie shows us so many great, beautiful lessons. He never take anything personally. The guy who saved his life, and finally then he attacked him, meaning verbally, because he didn't want his life to be saved. He didn't take it personally. He just saw a person going through his own thing, and he went on doing his own things. And then Forrest Gump started the company, and then he called back the guy again, and then became very good friends. Why he would win all these tournaments when he loved ping pong? Because he was not attached to winning. He was just flowing with the experience. He was doing it for the joy of it. He wasn't doing it to try to win. So while the opponent is trying to win the match, he was too busy focusing on doing what he loved to do. And then there's no one could win it because there's no distraction in him at all. He doesn't care if you win or not. He's just going to be keeping the focus on what he loves in that moment, on being present. Well, rest in peace means being present. Because when you are present, meaning you're not focusing on thoughts on the future or thoughts on the past, you're being present, you're resting in peace. So what happens when the body dies, according to the way we look at it, right? We call rest in peace. In reality, what happens is that when the body dies, it's no longer thinking, supposedly, right? Well, that's what we're trying to do now. We're not trying. We're learning how to rest in peace all the time. Because only when I bring a future, a thought of a future or a thought in the past, I'm not present. Therefore, I'm not in peace. I'm chasing something that I think is going to make me happy, or avoid something that I think is going to make me feel pain. No, all we're doing now is resting in peace. As a matter of fact, that's what I should call this video, Rest in Peace. But I'm going to leave it with the other title so it doesn't scare you. Okay? So again, when you know that you're in touch with the love that you are, means that you're not identified with a personal self. And only the personal self is seeking things, is looking for things. I want a relationship to make me feel whole. I want more money to make me feel abundant or free. You know, the oxymoron, financial freedom, it's an oxymoron because it doesn't exist. Freedom is of the mind, and not this mind, I'm talking about the mind, but for the sake of language, freedom is of the mind, money is of the world. That's why give Caesar to what's of the Caesar, give God what is to God. So I will never experience freedom, no matter how much money I have, if I am not liberating my mind for the belief of who I am. Because remember, I've seen, actually most of the people that I've met that have a lot of money, they're so filled with worries. And I've met so many people that have no money and they seem to be so free, right? And of course, you also have people who have money and they feel very free because they're conscious of who they are, and have people who doesn't have money and feel very attached to it. As a matter of fact, most people seem to feel that way because they have bought the idea that somehow money is going to make them happy or whatever. And that's what they do, whatever they're willing to do, just to try to get that piece of paper, meaning trying to get that God. And they have put aside the real God for an illusory God that eventually is going to lead them back to the rat race, to the fear-based mentality. So, how do you know you love something or you love someone? When you feel joyous and your happiness, and feel happy when that leaves you, when that goes, when that it's free, because their freedom is your freedom. So, now that I explained a little bit of this rest in peace thing and you know where I'm coming from, then I leave you with rest in peace.